I feel as though I'm traveling back through time as I round yet another bend in the canyon. I'm descending deeper and deeper into a red rock labyrinth, which has only recently emerged after being buried beneath the dark waters of Lake Powell for more than 30 years. Submerged beneath 60 feet of reservoir water just 5 years ago, the small, clear stream at my feet now gurgles beneath a profusion of willows and cottonwood trees swaying in the breeze. Croaking frogs with periscope eyes bob in the creek as ravens squawk from ledges on the water-stained walls. Thick stands of cattails crowd the edge of the stream, where 3 years ago crumbling sediment banks, oozing mud, wind-blown tumbleweeds, and swirling clouds of dust filled the scene. Drought presents great challenges for life in the arid American West, but here along the alcoves and narrows beneath the canyon rims, a lost world is being reborn.
In the first half of the 20th century, the federal government embarked on a program of massive public works projects to begin harnessing the water resources of the American West. The stated goal of the Bureau of Reclamation was to impound all of the nation's rivers so not one drop of water was wasted by flowing unclaimed to the sea. Glen Canyon Dam was authorized in the 1950s as part of this new era of dam building. One thing the dam designers could not have predicted back in 1963 was the record-breaking drought which began to tighten its grip on the West 40 years later. Constructed in a high desert environment, Lake Powell, with its vast surface area, triple-digit summer temperatures, howling winds, and porous sandstone, loses 750,000 to 1 million acre-feet of water every year to evaporation and ground seepage when the lake is full. That's enough water to meet the annual supply of the entire city of Los Angeles, and more than the whole state of Nevada uses in 1 year. When Lake Powell is less than half full, the decreased surface area results in less water lost to evaporation, about 400,000 acre-feet at this water level. Lake Powell and its downstream neighbor, Lake Mead, were designed to save excess water, but the days of excess are over. Now, with each reservoir near 50% capacity, maintaining both is a very costly way to meet the water infrastructure needs of the West. With increasing demand and dwindling supplies, it now appears that the West can no longer support two large reservoirs evaporating precious water into the hot, dry desert air. Meanwhile, the storage capacity of Lake Powell is constantly shrinking as the Colorado River's silty waters drop one dump truck full of sediment every 2 minutes into the reservoir. Even in small side canyons, these sediment deposits have accumulated to depths of nearly 30 feet, as seen here, due to downcutting during the recent drought. On average, 65 million tons of sediment settle out in the upper reaches of the lake every year, diminishing the reservoir's capacity by at least 50,000 acre-feet annually. This valley near Height, Utah, has been filled to a depth of 130 feet. Public advocacy groups, such as Glen Canyon Institute, estimate that within 150 years, Lake Powell will be rendered the biggest mud pit in the United States. The groups argue that it's critical to start sending the sediment through the dam now with river releases in order to save the ecology of Grand Canyon downstream, where native fish are on the brink of extinction as a result of the cold, sediment-free water now released from the base of the dam. The latest studies indicate that Lake Powell may never return to pre-drought levels. Although the reservoir once functioned as a savings account banking unused water, current demands from growing Sunbelt cities have turned it into a fluid checking account where resources are spent as quickly as they are earned. Our numbers show that if upper basin demand is static, Lake Powell will be half empty half of the time, says Glen Canyon Institute's Richard Ingebretson. If there is development in the upper basin that increases demand, Powell could be 75% empty at least half of the time. Climate models from the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, as well as those from academic study groups, all show that both Lake Powell and Lake Mead will remain less than half full indefinitely, concurring with Glen Canyon Institute's predictions. In February 2008, researchers from San Diego's Scripps Institution of Oceanography released findings showing a 50% chance that climate change combined with demand will cause both Lakes Powell and Mead to dry up completely by 2021. In April 2007, the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change identified the American Southwest as a region where the current drought will likely worsen as a changing atmosphere causes temperatures to rise by as much as 5 degrees Fahrenheit over the next century, and precipitation to significantly decrease. Legendary conservationist David Brower produced film footage on a trip through Glen Canyon in 1963 as the reservoir had already begun to flood the canyons. This film and his descriptions take us back to a time before these canyons were lost.
I went down Glen Canyon after my proposal of a higher Glen Canyon dam caused a lot of static among the people who had been down Glen Canyon, which I hadn't. And they were asking me what the hell was I up to? Did I know anything about what I was doing? Which I didn't. And it made several trips down, and that was what really told me that it was indeed a magical place, and by all means should be protected. When you go to side canyons, it's a completely different experience. It was never the same twice. And sometimes you would go to a side canyon where you'd be up over your knees in mud, and then if you'd had a flash flood of some sort, it would clean all that out, and you just walk right into the river. So we had a lot of variation, but once you got in, over that first little bit of mud, you got into these beautiful canyons. And there was just nothing like them that I'd ever seen anywhere. What was magical, I guess, is what the geology made possible with these various kinds of sandstone. Eroded in ways that sandstone erodes. And that mixed with the other kinds of sandstone and the other rock forms gives you a geological story that is wonderful. So that you get sculpture that is just totally unbelievable until you've seen it. Cathedral in the Desert was the ultimate magical place in Glen Canyon. It didn't take you very long to get into the side canyon. And then when you walked into that, it was so much like a cathedral that you felt you better be quiet there. And we were. The side canyons in Glen are what finally told me that this place is the special place on earth. There's nothing like it.